Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. It was an interesting week of football. Now that we essentially have football every single day. There's never a time where you can't get your fix. It's great. The NBA has started. College basketball is right around the corner. Y'all know that's my jam as well. So really looking like the sports landscape's never been better. The MLB, the World Series, is going on, which I'm not as much into. And I'll tell you why. Like, for me, I ride for my teams, right? And if my team isn't in it, then there's nothing for me to enjoy. Like, I don't enjoy just watching a random MLB baseball game. And somebody might say, oh, well, you don't love baseball. That's fair. I don't mind if that's the criticism. It's just the truth. If the Yankees aren't involved, or if I don't have some type of interest in the storylines, then I'm probably not watching. And for me, the moment the Yankees were gone, a lot of the intrigue went away. The Rays didn't make it. And the only reason why I'm intrigued by the Rays is that I'm wondering if they'll ever get their ish together and win a championship, trying to hoard all the money. The Red Sox aren't in it. Obviously, not only did I live in New England for a long time, but it's good rivalry with friends of mine who are Red Sox fans. So I would keep an eye to it, right? There would be some reason for me to continue to pay attention. I like the Houston Astros, mostly because I like Dusty Baker. And I think it was awesome that Dusty Baker was able to get a championship. Wanted to see him get another one. And also I think that this sign stealing stuff is ridiculous. But that's just me. Like, we vilified these people as if they were doing something that everybody hasn't done. And that brings me to that Michigan situation. I know I talked about it before, but here's the thing, right? There's a reason why offensive coordinators do hand signals and they got 2 and 3 people doing them, and people have up cards and all of this different stuff. There's a reason why you have all of these different things going on, because people will steal your signs. Nobody has to send someone to a game to do it. And the idea that somehow gave Michigan this grand advantage over everyone else is ridiculous. Number one, we got to remember, Michigan's not like murdering teams out there. Michigan wasn't taking teams to the woodshed. They were winning, but they're not impressive. Like, I think Michigan might be the least impressive top 5 team I've ever seen. They never look like the best team in the country. They never look like the team that can win it all. That's just to me. Like, when I watch Michigan play, I don't see what you see in their quarterback. I don't see offensive skill position guys that I say, oh my gosh, they are really, really dynamic. I don't see a defense that can just shut down or lock down anybody. I see a good team. That's it. Just a good team that plays in an overrated conference with a couple of good teams, and that's it. You take out Ohio State, you take out Penn State. Who in the Big Ten scares you? Nobody. If you get rid of Ohio State and Penn State, 2 teams that they don't even play like that don't even all play each other all the time. Who scares you in the Big Ten? Minnesota? Minnesota might be the most overrated program in the history of Big Ten programs. PJ Fleck took over a team that was ready to win. He did a little bit of winning, and everybody crowned him a king. He hasn't done anything since, except stupid slogans and high energy and the look at me Louis stuff, the look at me stuff. But the product on the field isn't one that's beating Michigan. The product on the field is not one that's beating Ohio State. The product on the field is not one that's beating Penn State. And for all of that, Penn State doesn't look like world beaters. Ohio State doesn't look like a world beater. Michigan doesn't look like a world beater. Juxtapose that with the SEC, where you've got Georgia over there that looks like a monster, and they don't even look as good as they looked in previous years. They're waxing teams, and they don't even look as good as they've looked in previous years. You've got LSU over here with 2 losses, I believe. LSU has 2 losses, and LSU will hang 40 to 50 on anybody in the country. Alabama has a loss. Alabama has a loss, but they look like they could beat anybody. Missouri has 1 loss. Kentucky and Tennessee just faced off. That was a battle. Like, there are good teams everywhere in the SEC. You got to worry about everybody in the SEC. The Big Ten, Michigan could get upset by, I don't know, a Pac-12 school. Like, that's what we're dealing with when we're talking about college. And that's what makes me think about this, right? Every time we're critical of a college player, you'll hear somebody come along and go, oh, well, these are just kids. No, they're not. They're not just kids. They weren't just kids when they made the decision to go to the school, right? When they held all of them schools hostage and they did all of the magical, this is my top 5, when they transferred from school to school in high school, when they signed their NIL deals, they started endorsing things. Yo, guess what? They're not kids. Can they go fire a gun? If they can go fire a gun in the military, they're not a kid. Right? I've never heard anybody tell somebody in the military who was getting on a military recruit, an 18-year-old freshie. I never heard anybody tell them, oh, well, that's just a kid. Take it easy on him. Nope. So we don't have to take it easy on them. We need to be fair, right? We need to be fair, and we need to be just in what we say and how we critique. And with that being said, Colorado's offensive line is trash. Like, the fact that y'all are mad that Coach Prime says, yo, we need to recruit better linemen is ridiculous. Week after week after week after week, we watch Shedeur Sanders go out there and light up the world with no offensive line. I watched as an offensive line in college did the same stuff that my high school offensive line does, and half of them have never played football before. The exact same thing. These people have been playing football, theoretically, since they were 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old, heck, 15 years old. They've been playing football for 5 to 6 to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years. And they're still doing things that an offensive lineman who is just learning the game does. How? I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. The ability to block versus not being able to block. a lot of times does not come down to athleticism. It does not come down to how big you are. It comes down to will. It comes down to will. Yo, I am going to do the right thing all the time. There were some times where they clearly were supposed to have a slide protection. The tackle blocks down instead of slides out. The guy comes off free off the edge. How? The center snaps the ball. There's nobody over the center. The center just stands there and scans. He doesn't help the two guards on the side. How? How is this life for offensive line? So then when Coach Prime comes out and says, hey, listen, we know what the problem is. We know what the problem is. The problem is we're not good enough on the offensive line. So we got to get better. Oh, they're just kids. You got to be careful. Careful of what? Careful of them getting his son murdered? Not once have I ever heard Shedeur Sanders complain. Not once in any interview have I ever heard him, not at Colorado, not at Jackson State when they weren't blocking worth a damn. Nowhere have I seen him complain about the offensive line. He puts it on himself. He puts it on himself. Hey, I got to get rid of the ball. That's the game plan. I got to make sure I get rid of it. Okay, cool, Shedeur. Like that's cute. I'll say it for you. Hey, you cats is trash. And you got to have some pride about you because you don't have to be that trash. You can understand your assignments better. You cannot fall for okie dokes by defensive linemen who are more athletic than you. If I'm supposed to slide left, I don't care what the person does in front of me. I'm going to slide left. And if everybody slides left, then we'll all have these gaps covered. And even if I'm getting beat, if I've got my hands on them, the last ditch effort, I cut them. Why? Because you can do that in college. You can't even do that in high school. You can't even engage, then cut in high school. You have every advantage to be successful in college, and they're not taking advantage of it. So guess what? You got to move on. Pat Narduzzi at Pitt said, hey, we had guys we thought were going to step up and be better this year. They haven't stepped up. They haven't been better. And you know what the players did? The players went to Twitter and started reposting his tweet looking for sympathy. Oh, I can't believe this. Oh, is this really? Really? Yo, you guys just got blown out 50-something-0 by Notre Dame, who lost to Louisville. That same Notre Dame team lost to Louisville. That same Notre Dame team couldn't put up points versus other teams, and now you're sitting there being all butthurt because your head coach told the truth? These are not kids. We don't have to treat them like kids. They don't act like kids. They don't do any of the kid stuff when things are good or when they want their way. You know what those Pitt players do to Pitt? When they're doing really good, they transfer. Like a grown-up, they go, hey, I'm worth more than what Pitt can give me. I'm going to transfer to another school. So keep that same energy when you're trash. When you're garbage, when you ain't playing well, when you're lame, when you soft, when you ain't got no energy, when you don't know what you're doing, keep that same energy. Don't just be an adult when it's convenient for you, and then other times be a kid so that you don't have to take the blame. That's what I try to tell my high school kids. Hey, yo, just be kids, right? Just be kids. You don't even have to try to be an adult. And then we'll just treat you like the kids. And then you won't have to worry about being judged like adults. This is what we've got going on in the society today, where we cannot criticize college athletes who are receiving money, who are receiving scholarships, who have a job to do, where they have other people's fate in their hands. We can't be honest. The lack of honesty is why media members get this from coaches. Oh, well, we did a good job, but the guys never quit. You know what that means whenever you hear a coach, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Whenever the coach tells you these guys never quit, what he's saying is that they were bad. They were bad. They didn't execute well, but they played until the game was over. That's all it means. It's their way of trying to help their team save face. Hey, you know what? Watch this. Hey, you know what? We just got to do a better job of getting them prepared. Do you really think any coach believes that they've got to do a better job of getting players prepared for a game? Or do you think they say that so that they take the energy off the team? They're trying to spare the team. And you know what the team does in response to the coach just trying to take it on themselves? They dump on them. Oh, this offense don't work. This defense is... No, it's you. It's not the coach, it's you. Because then when you execute everything perfectly or you execute everything decently and the plays work, we have a saying in the hood. Say, what was that? Now, what was that could be used in two different ways. What was that? If I say, yo, hey, what was that? I'm saying you were saying something as if it was true. I just proved it wasn't true. So now say it again. Right? But then there is the textbook, what was that? As in, what are you doing out there? And coaches say some type of thing of that phrase to players all the time. They say, what was that to players all the time? Because when players execute and they do exactly what the coach asked them to do, they don't try to think for themselves because it's a team game and 11 has to work as one. You have success. When they try to do their own thing, guess what? Not a lot of success. Not a lot of success. And that's from the Pee-wee level all the way up through college and into the NFL. Like, it's the same thing everywhere. You know what else I be telling people? What was that? Those dudes that was talking noise about how Kayvon Thibodeau wasn't a great player. Man, do they have to eat some crow. They have to really eat some crow. They got to really go back and reevaluate what they was talking about. Coming off of a game where Kayvon Thibodeau had 4 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and a pass defended. That was a drop pick 6. They murdered him about the pick 6. They murdered him. How you drop an easy pick 6? Oh, this is what we talking about. This is like, he's not this. He's bad body. That's what they called him. They said he was bad body. They said that he didn't have any explosiveness. So then he came back versus the Jets. The very next week, after he just had a good game versus the Commanders, came back the very next week versus the Jets. And you want to know what his stat line looked like? 9 tackles, 3 sacks, and a forced fumble. That is defensive player of the week type stats. What was that? What'd you say? Say it again. Say it again. Because that ain't bad for a bad body, out of shape, defensive end, outside linebacker with no explosiveness. I've never seen someone with no explosiveness make a pass rush move where he jumps inside, then pops back outside, burns around the tackle, and makes a sack. That you can only do that with explosiveness. Everything that they said was proven to be stupid. Brandon Tierney and whatever that other dude's name is. Everything that they said was lame. And Carl Banks called them out on it, and they were like, nah, we don't want to talk to you no more. Hung up on the dude. Oh, well, we look forward to you joining us next week. He must be getting paid by the radio station, because there's no way I would ever go on their show again. Because they didn't do that because they really believe it. They did it for clicks. Somewhere they're probably saying, yo, that was great radio. It was trash radio. As a local radio station, as a local radio show, you don't just go out there and trash your team or your team's players for no reason. Like I said, it's okay to be critical. It's okay to be harsh, but you have to be real. They weren't real. And now Kayvon Thibodeaux is sitting here about to hit double-digit sacks in 6 games. Remember, his first 2 games, no sacks. He's got all of his stats, right? He's got his 8.5 sacks, 8.5 in 6 games. And if you really be honest about it, he didn't have any in the Bills game. So he's got his 8.5 sacks in 5 games. He's got multiple sack games 3 times this year. That is not just some dude. Oh, and by the way, he's 22 years old. He's 22 years old. He had an injury to start his NFL career. He had a little injury, bounced back from the injury. Second half of the year, started looking like a world beater. This year, still looks like one. What was that? That's what I'd be asking. Hey, you two, what was that you were saying? Oh, yeah, I thought. But then I'd be saying, yo, what was that to Brian Daboll, who, in my opinion, gave the game away? There were a couple instances in the fourth quarter where they had a 4th down and 1. On the first 4th and 1, instead of going for it, keeping the chains moving, they haven't moved the ball on you at all. Instead of keeping the chains moving, 4th and 1, go for it, get that 1 yard, right? Instead of doing that, they punt it away. Okay, cool. Defense makes the stop. You get it back. It's 3 straight runs. Saquon. Some people are like, oh, well, on the first down run, Saquon could have ran through it, and yeah, whatever. Saquon's trying to keep the clock rolling. It's 4th and 1. Your kicker is hurt. It is pouring rain on one of the worst surfaces in the NFL. Why would you, and your kicker has already missed a kick from a similar distance. You have the opportunity to kick the field goal and go up by 6, right? Not by 8, only up by 6. Or you have a chance to go for the first down and salt the game away. They kick the field goal, they miss 2 plays, boom, boom. Jets are in field goal range, game over, Giants lose. Now we're out here talking about who might get traded for the Giants. This was a pivotal game. If the Giants win this game, they're still connected. People might go, hey, it's not time to sell yet. You lose this game, hey, guess what? Maybe it's time to sell. especially because the place that they're most likely selling is on the defensive side. And those players have looked good. Leonard Williams has looked good. Jackson's looked all right. But you can see all these other young, dynamic defensive backs they have all over the place. So that's making Jackson more expendable. But Brian Daboll, you didn't have to lose this game. You didn't have to. You did the right thing. Tommy DeVito came in. You didn't let him lose the game for you. You allowed him to throw the ball once. It was almost a pick six. You said, we're going to run it the rest of the game. Cool. Now, you've given the ball to Saquon Barkley 30-something times. Give it to him one more time. What was that? At some point, when you're a team and your season's not going well, what do you have to lose? Why be a coward about it? We're only talking about football, but in football, that in those cases, he was a coward. And cowardice does not ring off. It was very disappointing. It's going to be an interesting week of football. A lot of places in high school get either getting ready for playoffs or already started playoffs. Here in Georgia, it's the final week of playoffs, so make sure you catch my little local Savannah High School rundown, and I'm going to put out there probably today or tomorrow. Hope everybody is well out there. Looking forward to another great week of football. Hey, stay tuned because I am back on the mic. Norfolk State versus South Carolina State. I will be in the house doing color commentary. That is November 19th. Make sure you check me out, ESPN or ESPN3. Make sure you check me out. I always appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. We do this thing a few times a week. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Till next time, peace.